Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is now just 109 days away from its official release by writer and director J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio, as well as creator George Lucas. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, ever since the release of the second teaser trailer of Episode 9 over at D23 and by Good Morning America, a lot of fans around the world, including myself, were very excited about the return of the Empire in Star Wars Episode 9 and exactly how that's going to be utilized into the film by J.J. Abrams. Now, what's really great about this is that there's more to the story than the Empire just returning, and it has all to do with Palpatine's return, the unknown regions, and a whole lot more than that. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and when it all comes down to one of the concept art descriptions, this is where things begin to get very intriguing for Episode 9. Now, specifically, what's really interesting about all of this is that it's described that one of the sequences is said to involve a confrontation between both Kylo Ren and Darth Sidious, where it's described that Palpatine unveils to Kylo Ren of his big plans of what he calls his new Sith Empire. It's described that after the destruction of the Death Star 2, many remnants of the wreckage over the course of years eventually found its way into the unknown regions. It's explained that this is where Palpatine and his Sith Empire were able to obtain hidden Imperial bases in the unknown regions, where they constructed and modified Imperial Star Destroyers by applying Death Star technology into the ships. However, it's said that the First Order also has similar weapons. It's described that Palpatine plans to spread ships throughout the galaxy to wipe out certain star systems that pose a threat to his Sith Empire, and even plans to destroy the remnants of the First Order and the Resistance as one to rule the galaxy, and even tries to convince Kylo Ren to join him by his side. It's explained that Palpatine had planned to use Death Star 3 technology on Star Destroyers prior to his death, and that many years later, he based those plans on his original ones and used it for the Sith Empire to use these annihilators to destroy the surface of a planet at will. Now, it's described that Palpatine owns around 500 Imperial destroyers that are equipped with this technology. So let's go over a couple of parts about this. Now, as you all know, the First Order is of course going to have these new weapons as well called Annihilators, First Order Annihilators. But it's not just them who own these weapons. It's also Palpatine's new Sith Empire, quote unquote. What I love so much about this is that the Sith Empire was a thing many years before the events of the Phantom Menace. If you guys are very much knowledgeable with the Star Wars lore, that all takes place before, the prequels and the originals. There's a lot of content in there. The return of the Sith Empire is a very interesting thing. The fact that Palpatine is calling it his new Sith Empire kind of reflects on what Anakin Skywalker said in, of course, Revenge of the Sith, where he says, I have created peace, justice, and all to my new empire. So it's kind of similar to how Anakin did, in Revenge of the Sith, and now Palpatine is doing the same exact thing here, where he actually calls it his new Sith Empire. Now, there's actually said to be over 500, or around 500 Imperial Star Destroyers that were actually modified and constructed over in the unknown regions by using Death Star technology that made its way over into the unknown regions. That's a very interesting thing, and the fact that Palpatine had already planned this out before his death even, from Darth Vader on the Death Star 2, was he actually was going to use Death Star 3 technology to apply it to Star Destroyers and use those original ideas as a way to really kind of just pick up the scraps from the second Death Star and use that into the new Star Destroyers, while also using the remaining technology that he had once planned for a third Death Star into the other Star Destroyers as well. So that's a very interesting thing about Episode 9, is that we do know that this film is going to really dive into Legends. You guys may recall that in Legends, there was a time where there were at least 3 different factions. 2 different versions of the Empire split, going up against each other, as well as the Rebellion and everything around those lines. It was a very interesting thing that wasn't as popular as it should be. I feel like it was a very interesting storyline, and the fact that JJ is diving into that and using it for Episode 9 is very intriguing. Now, Palpatine wants to get rid of the remnants of the First Order and, of course, of the Resistance. He wants to wipe those 2 factions out from existence. This way he can destroy as many star systems as he wants to take over those star systems. Again, his ships, these Imperial destroyers that have the Annihilator weapons on board of them, are actually said to not be planet-destroying weapons. However, they actually have the opportunity to lift up the surface of a planet, wiping out any life on that world. This way he can make way for a new world, rebuild on that world, right? So it's kind of like what happened in Rogue One, a Star Wars story, where they tested the Death Star, the first one, and you do see Jedha get completely obliterated. It's kind of like that, except a little bit minimized, where it's just wiping out the surface of the planet. And that's a very interesting thing, because that also is borrowing from World Devastators in Star Wars Legends, another series of weapons that Palpatine had used, and there were a number of them. There were a lot of them. And you can already see what they're trying to do here with the Annihilators in The Rise of Skywalker. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.